All right, hello friends, and welcome back to some more Our Life Beginnings and Always. Let me tell you guys, I was thinking about this game earlier and how we only have 2 episodes left until we finish the 13-year-old arc. And I'm so upset about it. I feel like this part of the game in particular has been so short. Like, it's gone by so fast, I feel like. I'm upset that we're going to be 18 after this section. Let's get into the game. Let's stop talking. Let's have a birthday party. Oh, okay, in the park. Cool. It was a pleasant afternoon. The sun shone brightly and the breeze tugged lightly as the balloons strung around the park. You and Cove had just been dropped off at Miranda Eckert's birthday party. Happy birthday, Miranda. You didn't really know Miranda. Last year was the first time you had a class with her, and everyone at school knew her as quiet. The shy girl stuck to her own friend group like glue. Man, let me tell you, that's how I became best friends with my real-life best friend. We had a class together. We were in separate years, so it was like weird to begin with that we had a class together. But she invited me to her birthday party, and I went because I'm not the type of person who gets an invitation to a birthday party and then doesn't go to the birthday party, right? If you invited me, I'm gonna show up. And it was a sleeping outside in a tent birthday party, but her birthday's in November, so it was cold outside. And I always tell the story, nothing makes you closer as friends than needing to cuddle for warmth because it's cold outside and somebody decided that they wanted to sleep in tents for their birthday. Okay? Like, from that moment on, we were besties. In case you ever need a best friend, you're like, I'm in the market for a new best friend. Go camping with a stranger. It had been a surprise that she was having such a big party. He looked around the expansive park, a spacious recreation. Have a recreation center in the next town over, and noticed a bouncy castle. Miranda had a bit of a reputation for not caring if she acted mature like the other teens sometimes did. It made a certain amount of sense that her party would match that. I mean, truly, honestly, I like that she's a little immature. She doesn't really care. But I don't know her. I guess I want to get to know her better. Maybe at this party you'd have the chance to make friends with her. You were excited at the thought. It has never really been my thought process. But you know, I want to know who she is. You hadn't had a choice in coming here today. Your moms insisted on it after you got the invitation, as did Cove's mom and dad. Exactly. If I get an invitation, I'm going. So both of you, sure, were driven over to the next town with presents in tow. All the parents had been pretty firm about going to a birthday party if you'd been invited. You agreed it was best to attend. It was the only polite thing to do. Sure. Your moms were happy with your attitude as well. Cove made a small noise which caught your attention. He looked around, scanning the area. He fidgeted with his gift in hand. Any idea what we're supposed to do with these? You looked at your own present and then towards the seating area. There was a table filled with snacks and drinks, supplies for various party games. Past all that, you spotted one table in the back that seemed to have a truckload of gifts. You pointed it out to Cove. Presents are over there. We should probably drop off our stuff. Cove nodded with a smile and turned to where you gestured. He saw it too. Cool. You and Cove began to walk over to the present table, flattening the well-trimmed grass between your feet. Or beneath, whatever you want. You walked past groups of people, classmates in semicircles broken up into the usual friend groups, chatting away. You, or maybe Cove, received the occasional greeting or friendly nod. However, as you passed by even more people that you had never seen before, you became aware that there were more strangers here than not. It was more crowded than you expected. Miranda Eckert, the quiet girl, was hosting the most populated birthday party you had been to in a long time, I'm assuming like family, friends, you know? You looked at the new faces and thought maybe you saw something of Miranda in them. Cousins, nieces or nephews, maybe. Parties could be a big deal in her family. The both of you reached the table. You set your gift down in an empty space, brushing some confetti aside, and Cove placed his gently next to it. He looked at the present thoughtfully. Hey, what did you get her? Before you had a chance to answer, Cove opened his mouth again and tapped his gift. I found this sparkly backpack. I figured she could use it for school or a trip or something. Okay. Weird present. I would never think of that, but sure. Your moms had taken you out shopping the other day. You'd searched through the store and ultimately... Oh no. Okay, stuffed animal, necklace and bracelet set, an adventure book, a yarn craft kit that made a toy. Let moms pick. Your moms didn't appreciate what you had picked and chose something else. Okay, from what I know of her, she's not necessarily into being as mature as other kids, but I think a stuffed animal might be seen as a little too childish, perhaps. It could be that she likes it. It could also be that you're like calling her a baby, you know? Necklace and bracelet? That's dependent on too many factors. Does she like gold? Does she like silver? Does she not like either and she likes like jelly bracelet kind of things? Like, that's a world I don't know. Light-hearted adventure book could be fun, you know. Hey, I like this book. I hope that you like it too. Yarn craft kit that made a toy. Assuming it's crochet or knit or whatever. What if she doesn't know how to crochet? What if she doesn't know how to knit? What if that's a problem with her? And like, she can't figure it out. She gets angry. Worst present ever. Mom's pick is a good option. But I think I'm gonna go adventure book. Right? That might be fun. You remember the story as something funny but interesting. It had nice characters, low stakes, and a witty author who made the occasional aside about the various shenanigans the adventurers got into. That sounds great. You hope that it was up Miranda's alley. I feel like I also, when I give presents to other people, I give them presents that I want. Like, this looks really cool, you should have it. Is that the way you should do presents? I don't know, but do you know how many video games I have bought my friends going, this looks cool, it's yours now? You described it to Cove briefly and he had no objections. Not a bad idea. He brushed his hands against the side of his pants. I really hope Miranda likes her gifts, but I think we both did good. With that, he gave you a sunny grin. He touched the gift one more time and then stepped away. Without the direction of needing to put stuff away, the two of you weren't sure what to do next. You felt a little awkward and Cove shrunk in on himself as he looked around. There were more guests heading to the present table, so you turned away and wandered over to a nearby tree where you wouldn't be in the way. From there, you both inspected the area and planned the next step. You were glad that Cove had been invited too. At least you had his company in this unfamiliar place. You watched him and he gave you a nervous grin. It reassured you a little and you smiled back. Thinking about, like, I just suddenly in my head went, who is Miranda? Because I've seen some of the character sprites for some of the other characters. I think she's the one who has like the really weird expression. Just like she looks at you from like this. I think that's her. We'll see. What next? Cove did not appreciate being put on the spot. He was just as unsure as you were. Birthday party stuff? It didn't seem to be time for cake, with people still arriving. Nothing else seemed to be organizing yet either. He noticed that himself and tried again. We could find Miranda? That was an idea. It made sense to greet the birthday girl. Okay, we could say hello. Wish her happy birthday. Ask her what she wants people to do. Sounds good. By that point, it was decided. The Miranda hunt had begun. You wandered around. Anytime you saw someone with Miranda's hair color, you got a little closer, but more than once it turned out to not actually be her. Hey, look! Finally, he pointed over to the real Miranda. She smiled slightly when you both approached, but ducked her head. She seemed to be a little overwhelmed with being the center of attention today. Understandable. You are the one who looks up from, like, the top of her eyes for some reason. Hi. Hi, Cove. Hi, Kit. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Thanks. I'm really glad you could come. You all stood awkwardly. Miranda did seem genuinely happy, but there was a distance between you. This is a great looking party. Thank you. Is there something we need to do, or should we just hang out? Oh, well, you can talk to people if you want. There are games that are going to start soon. And the bounce house should be open later if you feel like jumping. Then after that, it's cake and present time. We'll have ice cream, too. After that is when people will start going home. I hope that's okay with you guys. Cove nodded. He seemed a little more confident about the situation now. Thank you for telling us. You mutually struggled to keep eye contact. She still wasn't completely comfortable in this situation, and it was hard for you too. Miranda waited there, and you became hyper-aware of the silence forming. You heard a shout for a Randy, and Miranda, okay, brightened up, a total 180 with how stiff she had been with you. I've got to talk to some more people. Bye. Randy is an interesting nickname, but okay, I could see it. The birthday girl ran off to her friend, leaving you and Cove with at least a little more idea of what to expect. You both glanced at each other wordlessly. You felt a little disappointed. It was going to be hard to get to know Miranda better with how in demand she was probably going to be today. Hopefully you would get to talk with her later. All that was left now was finding something to fill the time until activities began. This may sound weird. I'm not the type of person who would go to talk to somebody, but if somebody came to talk to me, like I'm cool, I'm chill, I'm confident, whatever, but I'm not confident enough to go talk to somebody else, so I would not try to chat with other people around. A quiet spot to sit is me. Stood around where you were is also me. These last three are all me. But considering the fact that I am here with a friend, maybe we should ask, is there anything that you want to do? Knowing Cove, the answer is going to be no. We're just going to stand here kind of silently and be like, okay, well, party, yay. But see what this conversation is like. Alright, we're not going to actively be in the conversation. You started talking about how you felt about this kind of party and what you wanted to do for your next party. Cove made the occasional suggestion. The conversation became silly as he started joking about ridiculous party ideas. Cove wanted a moon party, and he wondered if anyone had ever tried to make a cake big enough to be the party location. Suddenly, a loud voice boomed over the crowd. The constant buzz of conversation dropped as one of the adults, maybe Miranda's dad, asked the kids to gather around because it was game time. I wonder what's going to happen. Pin the tail on the donkey. Honestly, that's the only thing that I can think of. I mean, that was kind of a joke. Scan the area to make a guess. You saw a picture of a donkey hung on a tree, a table with a lot of candy, and even more balloons. I guess we could be playing pin the tail on the donkey. Yeah! Do I know birthday parties or what? I doubt it. There's a donkey on the tree, Cove. What do you think that's about? He pointed to the poster of the tailless donkey. He shook his head. I've never seen anybody play that in real life. Cove, we need to get you out more. The adult announced that the children under 10 had the first turn on the bounce house. Okay. For everyone else, it was time to play pin the tail on the donkey. Bitch. He recalled it. Cove raised his eyebrows. He was surprised, for sure. I do think that Pin the Tail on the Donkey is a little bit silly. I've never personally enjoyed playing it, but I have played it at birthday parties before. But if I had a birthday party, it wouldn't be at my party. It was such a kid's game. The fact that this was planned for... Okay, well, there are children here. I don't mean it that way. I'm fine with the game. You didn't have anything against Pin the Tail on the Donkey. It would probably turn out okay. Like, this is somebody else's birthday party. Who cares what the activities are? You casually stepped up to join the line. The donkey in question was a cartoony poster with big eyes that looked more like ping pong balls. It was positioned a few feet above the ground on a tree trunk. The teen who arrived first was blindfolded and then spun around. He was nudged to the sign and away from the other kids so he wouldn't stick somebody with a tail instead. Unfortunately for him, he placed the tail on the donkey's head like some kind of bizarre earring. He wouldn't be winning that far from the target. His next opponent did far better by landing it on the donkey's back. The spectators clapped politely, and the line moved up. More teens tried their hand at it. Some got closer than others, but no one had gotten it perfectly yet. Soon, it was Cove's turn. He was blindfolded and spun just like the others. At this point, it was a close match, and everyone was watching with bated breath. Cove approached the donkey and stuck the tail on without any hesitation. Cove stood back and removed his blindfold, cheering when he saw how close he was. He turned his head over his shoulder and grinned at you. Your turn. Oh boy. I'm a little bit scared, but I would take my turn. With the blindfold on, the bright park became utterly dark. As you were spun around, the sounds around you seemed to get louder. At least you could tell the direction of the bounce house from the shrieks of the younger children. You stopped spinning and stepped forward, tail in hand. It was time to give it a stab. Literally. I have no idea where it would be. Like, you're spun around. Is there a correct answer? I just want to know. I'll place it... I'm feeling a little to the left. You pressed the tail to the target and stepped back. You took your blindfold off to check your results. There was some more clapping from the audience. The tail wasn't too far off. Behind you, there was a particularly enthusiastic, ooh, or maybe, oh, I don't know. And a few people mentioned how close you got. You smiled and looked back at Cove. He seemed amused. His tail wasn't off by much either, and you couldn't tell which of you was winning. They were just too nearby each other. I want to go back solely to see if there is a correct answer, you know? Or is it always correct no matter what? Missed the mark by a lot, so not directly in front of you. To the right. Mentioned how close you got. The right could be the correct answer. Reach and place it up. I just want... You had indeed pinned the tail on the donkey, right where donkeys preferred their tails to be. It was perfect. Okay, so the correct answer is a little bit up. But just because we want to see, missed the mark by a lot. Cool. I'm going to keep that I placed it to the left because that was my original answer. I just really wanted to know whether or not there was a correct answer. And there is. So, going on. A few more kids took their turn. One girl managed to somehow pin the tail on the opposite side of the tree. You were pretty sure it had to be on purpose. With the line empty, the game was finally over. The adult running things started to inspect the donkey. At this point, the sign was more tails than donkey. In the end, Cove was announced the winner with lots of smiles and applause. Yay! It could have been me. He grinned and seemed pretty proud of himself. He was handed a fistful of candy from the man in charge. Oh. Cove, you can keep that because I don't like candy. Cove needed both of his hands to accept it all. Thanks. He tucked the candy into his pockets. It filled more than one. Wow, that's a lot of candy. Congrats. You did really good. Thanks. I feel kind of sorry for the donkey, though. You both looked at the multi-tailed monstrosity and winced as you pictured how that would be on a real-life creature. I don't want it. It was his and you didn't need any. There would be other treats later. An older teen walked up, tall enough to tower over you and Cove. That is quite tall if he's taller than Cove is. You felt a little intimidated by this stern-faced teenager, just kidding, it's a girl, until she started to speak. Her voice was low but friendlier than her tough frown would suggest. Hi, I'm handing out party favors. Do you want one? She showed you party hats. She insisted they were the key to a true partying mood. Of course they are. She had two options, either a colorful headband with two tiny party hats arranged almost like ears, or a tiara with a star on it. They were both very festive. No thanks. Cove. You knew the teen hadn't actually glared at him. Her default facial expression just seemed grim. I want the headband. I can choose colors. I'll take a blue one. The teenager handed you the hat with a surprising amount of gusto, given her expression never changed. She gave you a serious thumbs up for taking it. Cove, pick a party hat. You held a pink headband hat in one hand and a crown in the other. You tried to imagine what they looked like on Cove. You really should try it, it'd be great. Cove looked back at the hats and then at you. With a sigh, he grabbed hold of one. The teen with the hats clapped as much as she could with all the hats in her hands. The unknown teenager nodded approvingly at you both and went to pass out hats to more people. You put the party hat on your head with a smile, and it fit well. It was surprisingly comfortable. It really completes your look. When did you get so fashionable? I've always been fashionable, Cove, first of all. He smirked, and you just adjusted your new accessory. I'm a party animal now. Really? No. Of course. Cove nodded with a thoughtful look on his face. If the party spirit is contained in party hats, does that mean they're haunted? You snorted at the suggestion. You considered the hat on your head. It didn't seem haunted, but maybe that's what it wanted you to think. Sorry, excuse me, I needed that one. I could have taken a screenshot, but listen, that needed to be a phone pic. Cove finally put his own hat on. He was nervous about it, his face uncertain. I don't know about this. I feel kind of silly. Does it look weird? That's the point, Cove. You're supposed to look silly. It is completely perfect. Cove scratched his head, being careful not to displace his hat. A blush was on his cheeks. Thank you? After that, the people in charge quickly set up the next game. Teenagers milled about until they were told to find partners. Sorry, I have to take another moment because I'm obsessed with Cove in a pink party hat headband. This is the best day of my life, you guys. You tried to listen to the rules, straining your ears to listen to the adult announcing what you were supposed to do. It was a simple game. One person in a pair would throw candy while the other had to catch it in their mouth. I've read about this. If they caught it, the pair would move on to the next round, where everyone would take a step back and the former catcher would become the thrower. The game would continue, with the players getting further and further, until one set of partners were the only ones left standing, or everyone lost in a round. About half the guests had already found partners. They moved fast. You noticed Cove had his eyes on you. You fucking better. Could we be partners? Neither of you were all that familiar with anyone else here. It'd be the safe choice to pair up. To be honest, I don't want to play, but yes. Let's do it, partner. Cool. He beamed, and you started wondering about your respective candy-catching capabilities. I'm not going to be very good at this, but I believe in you because you're a jock. Two rows of players facing each other formed. Cove tilted his head towards them, and he started to head over. Hi. Back, ye foul beast. We both lined up directly in front of each other. It took a while to pass out the candy. You were handed a small bag of gummies that smelled strongly of fruit. Well, I guess the fruit is fine, the gummy is not. I don't like sweets. Well, I don't like candy. Let's say that, maybe. I like sweet things. You notice Cove took it upon himself to do a taste test of the red one across from you. They're not bad. What does it taste like? Raspberry? Or cherry, it's red, so... Strawberry? Maybe? Pomegranate. It was a mystery. Maybe you'd get a red one later. Then it was time to begin. Cove's row was set to throw first. Ugh, he smiled nervously, his eyes wide with seriousness. He smiled back shyly, and Cove nodded. The game was on. I hope we win! The adult in charge shouted for the throwers to go. You and Cove were only a couple feet away from each other. With Cove's careful toss, you caught the candy easily. Okay, good, we didn't need to do anything, game-wise. Like you, most of the other players moved on to the next round. There were a few gaps in the rows as everyone took a step back. The round was harder with pairs further apart, but not overly so. It could be done if both partners tried. I'll do my best. Listen, you're a jock, I believe in you. You carefully plucked the gummy from the bag and felt the weight. You shifted it in your hand a couple of times for practice, then told Cove you were ready. You went for an underhand throw, careful to aim for Cove's mouth. The blue candy arced and landed perfectly in Cove's mouth. Good job. He chewed it twice, then smiled widely. You could tell Cove was genuinely pleased to make it through another round. You were happy as well. The next round began, and you took another step back. Cove was even further away now, but he made an okay sign. He was in this to win it. Around you, the once packed rows of players had thinned out some. You wondered how many rounds everyone had left in them. Cove swung his arm and made eye contact with you. You nodded, and the green candy flew towards you. Yikes. Again? You refuse to have a green candy in your mouth. Try my best. You followed the arc of the candy and opened your mouth wide. It had a slight spin on it, and you tilted your head to the left to compensate. Me in game is sportier than me in real life, because what? You bit down on the candy, grinning with your victorious catch. It tasted sweet and vaguely like a Slurpee. Yeah! Kid! Go team! Cove was thrilled. He was entirely invested in the game at this point. I'm glad you are. Oh my god, there's more? Only you and Cove were still left in the game. You knew this was the final round. Only a few other pairs were still left. Okay, we're the only ones left, but there's also a few other pairs left in the game as well. Cove was determined to win. You could see it in the clench of his jaw, the careful way he watched you. I don't want to let him down. This game meant something for Cove, and you respected that. You were going to be here for your partner, and if you wanted to win, well, you needed to try your best. Cove gave you a firm grin, and you prepared to the throw. Your fingers grabbed an orange gummy from the bag. It felt solid in your grasp, even as your hand was starting to get sticky from touching all the sugary sweets. Cove leaned his face towards you and bent his knees, ready to catch. The time came. You looked at the candy, then at Cove. Trying my best. Cove followed the candy with his eyes. The throw unfortunately spun out to the side. It looked like a loss was on the horizon. But he made a move for it, and it was good. He snatched the candy out of the air with the corner of his mouth. Nice. A wide grin spread on his face as Cove victoriously chomped down on the candy. Yes! Along with the cheer, he jumped up in excitement and pumped one arm. Again, like I said, I believe in you solely because you're a jock. It's really unfortunate, but in this case, we're winning. You look to your left, and then to your right. You see the few remaining pairs walking away, commiserating over their losses. With some shock, you realize that you and Cove are the only ones who made it that round. You won! Cove is really having a good time at this birthday party. He's winning it all. You watch the moment Cove clicked onto the same realization. His face brightened like sunshine and he jogged over to close the distance between you. You step closer to meet him halfway. Please don't. Okay, I get to choose. I was like, please don't hug me. High five. You put your hand up and Cove high-fived you with a satisfying smack. Nice. You won this together. It was mostly Cove. He giddily stomped his feet in place in front of you as though he couldn't contain his energy. We did it! And then he wrapped an arm around your neck, pulling you closer into a celebratory side hug. You adjusted the hat that had nearly fallen off throughout the event. Nice catch. Nice throw. Ugh. The game runner strolled over and merrily gave you both a bunch more candy. On top of letting you keep the gummy bags. It was quite the collection. Cove laughed over how much candy you had both acquired. Between this game and Pin the Tail on a Donkey, you were swimming in sugar now. With the candy toss over, you were going to need something else to do. You didn't have to wait long. You heard someone in the crowd shout that the bounce house was officially open for the older kids. You and Cove shared a look. Cove smiled, and you knew he wanted in. You both ran over to the bouncy castle and kicked your shoes off. You crawled into the inflated castle with Cove hot on your heels. There were a couple other teens inside already. You started to get a feel for bouncing. Cove hopped from the middle to the side and back. Just after you landed from a particularly high jump, someone else snuck in. It's the birthday girl herself. Hi, Miranda. Hello. Miranda looked happy. She waved both her hands at you with a megawatt grin. I hope you're having fun. She hopped around with her hands in front of her like a kangaroo. It was a surprisingly effective way to clear the distance in the bounce house. She then jumped high, kicking both her legs out to the side and touched the tips of her toes with her fingers. Wow. Miranda hadn't run out of tricks yet. She jumped a couple more times, gaining height, before doing a backflip and tucking into a ball. She managed to land on her feet, but didn't stick the landing. She tumbled back and fell on her butt. Cove clapped and Miranda inclined her head, almost like a bow. She was back to jumping in no time. You're so good at this. She bounced close enough for the two of you to talk without shouting across the way. Cove's bouncing slowed down to accommodate their conversation. My family gets these every year and we have a trampoline in the backyard. Alright, cool. Cool. Miranda giggled a little bit and then her eyes sparkled. Hey, I can launch someone if you want. If I jump in front of you, then your bounce will go higher. I'm short for a reason. That's okay, we can still have fun. Can you launch me? Miranda didn't hesitate. She started jumping with more force and getting closer to Cove. Of course. You watched as Miranda told Cove how he'd get the best results. She gave him a count and tried to time it so that he'd jump right when she touched down. You stood a few feet away, but even then you caught some of the energy from their bounces. The bounce house's floor rippled slightly under your feet. Cove took turns launching Miranda after he understood how it worked. She in turn did tricks that wouldn't be possible without the added height. It was exciting to watch. You all had fun bouncing around. You twirled. Miranda did stunts. Cove futilely tried to touch the highest tip in the castle's ceiling. You and Cove chatted to Miranda more than you ever had at school. She truly was the queen of this bouncy castle. Whenever someone did something cool, everyone would cheer. If you fell, the others would help you up. That's nice. Eventually more people wanted to take turns in the bounce house, so you and Cove left. As you slipped on your shoes, you saw Miranda get drawn into conversation with a group of adults. She would be talking to them for a while. You and Cove decided to take a break and hydrate. You went to the party table and grabbed some ice water. Cove handed you a party noisemaker he'd picked up from the same table. He blew on his and it made a funny sound when it unrolled. Cove downed his drink in a couple gulps. He had gotten pretty into bouncing after all. You were still sipping on your... You have one in your mouth. I didn't see it at first and I thought those were your teeth and I was like, what's wrong with your teeth? You were still sipping on your water when Cove blew on his noisemaker again. Then again. Then again. It was almost a tune. You couldn't recognize any particular melody, but a noisemaker also isn't an instrument. The noise cut through the hum of the other party guests. Loud and noticeable. You blew your noisemaker back at Cove. He blew hard enough to unfurl the paper completely straight. It jutted towards Cove, almost tapping his chin. Why are we so close? Cove wasn't going to let that stand. He retaliated and blew his back at you. It nearly touched your nose. It was a game now. Both of you tried to land a light hit on the other. Cove managed to get your chin while you scored right in between his eyes. Great, you people again. Someone vaguely familiar shouted and you snapped your head to the side. Cove's noisemaker dropped from his mouth. The speaker stepped up and there was no doubt. It was Jeremy, that mean boy you had met at the start of summer. Why are you here? Hey, it's the bowl cut kid. I try to be polite. Sure, why not? Hi, how are you? Your greeting went unacknowledged and Jeremy's scowl didn't change. Why are you here? That was said by Cove a little bit more dramatically than I thought it would be. Cove's tone was defensive. You watched Jeremy's face turn slack as if Cove's question was the idiocy above all idiocies. Didn't I already explain this? He hadn't, so both you and Cove exchanged a look. Do you have memory loss, or are you actually that stupid? Seriously. I didn't walk here. My parents brought me. Apparently I couldn't just stay inside like I wanted. No, they insisted that I get out and enjoy the day and have fun on vacation. Blah, blah, blah. He said enjoy the day and have fun on vacation, like some people would say scrub the entire bathroom or listen to an off-key singer for 10 hours. I found a park because I hate the beach. Too bad I also hate parks. Ugh, it's dirty here. They don't know anything. Oh, and then they saw this stupid party and decided to bother some adults by asking what was going on. They think maybe we could be included. It's moronic. Get it now? That's how my parents are. Annoying and embarrassing. Why would anybody want strangers at their birthday? Why can't they just ever leave things alone? He huffed loudly, and his eyes shot daggers at some grown-ups that presumably were his parents. Honestly, that is really awkward. Just inviting yourself to somebody else's birthday party. You don't have to say it back to me, I know. Jeremy's eyes slipped away from you to take in the rest of the park for a bit. It was a little awkward. It was possible he didn't know what to do, but then he spoke again. How can people really go around in those embarrassing party hats? Do they think it's fun or something? How could a human being be so dumb? It's kind of just nice to do party stuff. Jeremy scoffed, unimpressed. The expression on his face was nasty as he spoke. I'm not surprised an empty-headed person like you would think that. Jeremy looked you over, completely dismissive. It's so rude you can't help but feel offended. Cove's face hardened. He seemed more offended than when anyone actually insulted him personally. Just because you don't know how to be happy doesn't mean no one else does. And it's not our fault you hate everything. It's not okay for you to take it out on Kit. They aren't doing anything wrong. You are. Jeremy seemed unfazed by Cove's defense and sniffed. Kit can humiliate themselves on their own. They don't need you to step in and do it for them. Wow. I don't know that I would do any of these. I would just walk away. Leave me alone. I guess the best option is drown out his words with your noisemaker, but like, you're both, dude. You're, dude. It didn't take long for him to piece together that you weren't gonna let him speak without interruption. I like his face. He's so unamused. Really? How stupid. He shut his mouth though and finally stopped talking. You're a dick, damn. No, I mean, I literally laughed at his reaction, so. People were starting to watch what was going down. Your argument wasn't exactly quiet at this point. Why don't you just leave us alone if we're so awful? Jeremy glared even more and huffed. Talking to you is pointless, dumbasses. Ooh, he said the dumbass word. He stalked off like last time you saw him, muttering under his breath. You blew your noisemaker after him with a final long, dude. Cove sighed in relief after Jeremy was gone. He relaxed, but only for a moment. He noticed just how much attention you'd drawn from the other guests. Luckily, it hadn't gone on long enough to get a real crowd. A concerned adult in a blue button-up shirt approached you and asked who that was and if everyone was alright. I'm fine. Cove looked at you cautiously, asking just as much as the adult if you were okay. Yeah, I'm fine too, thank you. The concerned adult lingered for a few seconds, but nodded and left you alone. The Jeremy fiasco was officially over. Cove rubbed his eyes, clearly ready to put all that nonsense behind him. Then he started laughing. It was a surprised laugh breaking out of his chest without any actual joy. He was nervous and disbelieving in all the complex emotions brought about by one meeting with Jeremy. I can't believe it. He spoke in fits and starts. The look on his face after you started with it was hilarious. How can Jeremy be like that? He shouted at us. He barely knows us. And it was at a birthday party for someone else he's never met. You were just happy he's gone. Hopefully he stays away. Cove seemed to think about his next words carefully before he spoke. I don't think it matters what we do around him. Jeremy's just gonna yell no matter what. We shouldn't worry about it. Do you want to tell your moms about Jeremy, I mean? He always picks a fight. Maybe they know how to handle someone like him. Thanks for asking. I'm cool, but I know you're concerned. I guess I'll bring it up later. Solely so you can get closure on this. I'll let them know everything. Okay. No, I'm not gonna apologize for the party hat. It looks great on you. Finally, you bent over to pick up the noisemaker that Cove dropped when Jeremy appeared. It might be too dirty to use now, but you didn't want to leave it there. He accepted it softly when you offered the little favor back to him. Thanks, Kit. I like how we can just be there for each other. It makes me feel better about that kind of stuff when it happens. Yeah. Cove suggested that you should find a seat at one of the tables. It was almost cake time and he wanted to be prepared. He's like, cake. Yes. It was a good reminder that the party wasn't over yet. I think I see someone free there, if that works for you. You and Cove tried to settle down after the last event. You took seats across from one another at one of the park tables. There were a few attempts to chat, but for the most part you simply watched the adults run around to set up the cake cutting. There was a minor panic when who you assumed was Miranda's dad apparently forgot the lighter for the candles. He and another man went through and started asking the other adults for matches or lighters. They weren't having any luck until the grim-faced teenager who had been passed who had been passing out party hats, pulled a green lighter from out of the ice cream cooler. Why the lighter was in the cooler remained a mystery, but with the party hat girls' find, it was time to get things going again. Miranda sat at the head of the longest table. A large chocolate cake was set in front of her. She lit all 14 candles with a cooler lighter, with a big smile. The adults started singing happy birthday, and the rest of the guests joined in. At the end of the song, Miranda blew out the candles with a dedicated huff. She closed her eyes, and you saw her silently mouth something. Maybe it was a birthday wish. Miranda cut her own slice, okay? Then one of the grown-ups took over cutting the cake. Another adult passed around plates of cake slices with a scoop of vanilla ice cream to the guests. Eventually, the cake got around to you and Cove. Cove was pleased with the treat in general. The cake looked rich and moist. It smelled quite chocolatey. I only want the cake. I'm so glad that this is an option because I don't like cake and ice cream together. I'm like sitting here going, oh great, the ice cream's on the same plate. I only want the cake. He shoved the ice cream to the side and focused on the cake. He said Cove could have it if he wants. Like, I'm not just gonna throw it away, I'd offer it to him, but you stabbed your pink plastic fork into the slice and tried a bite. It was a fantastic chocolate cake. It had a rich chocolate filling and was moist inside. Read my mind. Hey, I'll take what you don't want. Cove eyed you hopefully, and you could hear his legs swinging against the tablecloth hanging over the side of the table. The ice cream. Make it very specific. You can take the ice cream. Cove transferred you. Here you go. Thanks. He beamed, and you felt a little better that your unwanted dessert would still be enjoyed. Cove then took his fork and started mashing up some of his... When the cake resembled a pile of crumbly chunks, he started mixing it into the ice cream. The melted parts of the ice cream made a kind of chocolate cake soup. You were puzzled at what he was doing. Cove paid no mind. I mean, I get it. I've made ice cream soup before. I don't know that I've made ice cream cake soup. Vanilla ice cream is not good by itself. Okay, we can't be friends anymore. I'm gonna eat it with a cake either way, so why not put them together now? Things like ice cream cake exist. Putting stuff together is normal. Cove contently chowed down on his concoction. One advantage to his mix is that the ice cream seemed to catch most of the crumbs that would usually fall from eating a cake. Unlike some of the kids around him, Cove's shirt remained clean. Good job. You started eating your dessert in earnest. You enjoyed yourself plenty. Cove suddenly put his fork down on his plate and stared up to the sky with a faraway expression. You checked but didn't see anything attention-grabbing. This ice cream is better than those in cups, you know, with the little wooden spoons. But I still kind of want that instead. He remembered what he was talking about. Oh, yeah, like the ones handed out at the barbecue before the fireworks happened. Right. Cove smiled nostalgically at the thought. You could picture a younger Cove for a moment with the same look in his eyes. You remembered how your ma tried to share with everyone that night. You smiled about the memory to yourself. Listen, he has my ice cream and his own cake. We have the same dessert. I don't want any of your ice cream cake mixture. Miranda then started to open her gifts. She systematically attacked the mountain of presents like a pro. She checked for any cards and read them loudly before opening a gift. She smiled at every present, including the ones you and Cove got her. You were glad the presents were accepted. It took time, but eventually Miranda got through all the gifts. She was very sweet and polite throughout it all. The party went until the sun began to set. By that point, most of everything had settled down and people had begun to leave. Any of the guests whose parents had stayed for the party were already gone, except for Miranda's family. Only a few kids were waiting for their parents to come and get them, you and Cove included. Miranda's family were cleaning up, and as a guest, neither you nor Cove were supposed to help with that. Instead, you both had decided to take it easy in the bouncy castle. It was somewhere out of the way where you could casually wait for your ride. Miranda had also elected to hang out with you. You weren't even bouncing anymore. Cove laid on his side with his back to a wall. Okay. And Miranda sat across from him with her legs stretched out. You also made yourself comfortable. It was nice and warm in the little building. It also felt like you had some privacy, which was nice. You could all speak openly here. Thanks for coming. She looked down but continued shyly. It's been really cool to get to hang out with you a little bit. Thanks for letting me come. I didn't think I'd be invited. Thanks from me too. Miranda just smiled a little more. So, did you notice anything happening earlier with some people you didn't know showing up? Why are we telling her about it? If she doesn't know, who cares? She had to think about this question a little. It was apparent that she didn't have an encounter with Jeremy, since there was no instant recognition. I heard about something. Some other parents were talking to my parents when their kid came and forced them to leave the park. She tilted her head to the side, finding it weird, but also not important. Then everyone had cake and ice cream. Cove smiled uncomfortably. That's good. He was clearly worried that the Jeremy confrontation could have gotten to her. Luckily, it didn't seem that anyone had overheard or passed along Jeremy's cruel words. Cove rolled over on his back and sighed contentedly. Miranda seemed confused, but wasn't going to push. I'll change the subject. For what? I don't know. What are you gonna do with all those gifts? It had been a mountain of stuff. Miranda laughed. I don't know. I'm gonna have to find a way to get them all in my room. Cove gave a bent smile and made a suggestion. You can carry some in that backpack you got. She giggled and clapped her hands with delight. That's true. You all continued chatting in a laid-back manner until it was time to go home. At the end of the day, you thought it had been quite the party. Wow, that was longer than I expected to be. Oh my god, we're at 54 minutes recorded? And I didn't even, take any pauses or anything. Okay, that's changing my entire idea of this game and the episodes. But that was nice. I liked that one. You know, we hung out, had a cool birthday party. Because we're at 54 minutes though, I feel like we should end this episode here. I wanted to do summer work in this episode as well, but I just don't think that we're gonna have time, and I don't want to make this episode an hour and 30 minutes long, right? That's a little bit too much for us. But I want to play more. I'm not done with this episode. Ugh. So sad. I'm gonna end this episode here, though next time we'll do summer work and maybe escapade, but that's all we've got. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time for some more of our life.